Welcome back. I am Dr. Kevin Hadley. This is the Board Game Professor. I am explaining in detail how to play the game Stone Age. So we've talked about how to set up the game. We went through one round of allocation where we allocated workers to different spots, and now we're going to go through the resolution phase. What happens in each different spot? Okay. And so we'll take the same order. So first we'll focus on the main village area. And so each one is unique. Okay, so with the granary, now what I want to do though is each player, now when we're allocating, we take turns. Okay, when we're when we're executing the actions, a player does all of his workers at once, or hers, but does it in whatever order they see fit. Okay, because sometimes it's advantageous to do some before others. Okay, and you can see I put a player board up here for certain things. We'll get to there in a sec. So let's look at red. Okay, so red is we're going to focus on these first. So even though we have red, yellow, and blue, you do all the red at once, but for the sake of keeping things streamlined, we're going to focus on this area, then the collection sites, then the buildings, and then the cards. So the granary, pull my person off, and then I move my granary marker one space up. Now you can't go past 10, but I don't think I've ever seen a game where it's gotten to 10. So that would be pretty crazy, I think. And you don't need to go past 10 because you're never going to have more than 10 people. Okay. So that's all that does is you move this one up, and you now have a field that will produce food. I'll explain that in terms of the end round wrap-up, which I'm going to put at the end of this video. Okay. Then you have the collection sites. Okay. Oh, sorry. I should finish up these. Okay. Here is the lovemaking hut. Okay. So we do that, and then we pull another player out of the supply. So 2 people go into the hut, 3 people come out. And now that you have a new person, you're going to have to feed that new person. Okay. And then finally we have the tool making shed. Okay. So I take a tool and I put it on my player mat. Okay. Now, if I don't have any tool, so you can see that there's 3 spots for tools. Okay, so if I have an empty spot, I take a 1. Okay, and I keep taking 1s. But once all 3 spaces are taken, then I start increasing their numbers, and I just do this 1 by 1 by 1. Now, once I get to 3 2s, then I grab a 3 from the pile and replace that. And I don't have another 3. But I'd keep going, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4. Okay, and that's, building up my tools or collecting my tools. Okay, so that's the 3 main spots. Now we can talk about the collection. Okay, so collection in this game is a little bit different. You have your people there, and how much you collect is based on how many, what you roll on your dice. And how many dice you roll is based on how many people you allocate. So we can see here that the yellow has allocated 4 people. So I take 4 dice, each representing a person. I like to use the dice cup, and we roll. Okay. And that's our result to figure out how much wood we collect. Now, in terms of collecting resources, whether it's food, wood, brick, stone, or gold, how much I collect is dependent upon the legend here, okay? So I take the number I roll, and wow, that's a really bad roll. I rolled a 7, okay? So I look at the 7, okay, and I divide it by the number of the resource. So the number for wood is 3. So 7 divided by 3 is 2 and some change, but I'm always going to round down no matter what, okay? So I would get 2 wood, unless I used a tool. If I used a tool, now how do I use a tool? I use a tool by turning it cockeyed like that, okay? Now I can use a tool once per once per round. So once we go to the next round, I can reuse the tools, but okay, I'm going to use this tool to make, so these basically become adders. So I got 7 plus 2, now it becomes 9. 9 divides by 3 nicely, so I can collect 3 wood. Okay, but I still have this 2 and 3 to use for other subsequent rolls. Okay, now I only have yellow on wood, so I probably want to use this one too, but that 2 is going to do nothing. Okay, but I just turn it to the side, and when I'm done, I'm going to, turn them back. Okay. And that works for all the allocation phases, whether it's food, which is going to be divided by 2, or all the way up to gold, which is 6. So in this case, I'd collect, if I had 4 people on gold, I'd only collect 1 gold. And even if I used all my tools, which would be adding 7, 14, I'd get 2 gold. So it's obviously a lot harder to collect gold than it is wood or food. Okay, so those are the collection things. Now we move on to the houses. Okay, so I pull my person off and I can buy this house. Now, if I can allocate a person to a spot so that it can't be taken. So maybe I want to buy this house, but I just can't afford it right now. So I'm holding off until I can. Okay. Now, so some of these have these question mark points, and I'll explain those in a separate video. Some of them just have, set points, so this one's worth 10. And it'll make sense when I explain how the points work, why this is 10. But in any case, I spend 2 wood and a brick to buy this. Okay, so I put that in my spot, and I spend my 2 wood and a brick. Let's assume I had a brick. I put those back into the supply. I put my guy back on my supply. And then I get my 10 points. And so I would move, let's say I'm yellow, I move myself up to 10, and everybody's happy. Now you might be wondering, okay, should I keep track of, does it really need to be kept track of as the game goes on? So there's a lot of games like Ticket to Ride. It's just easier to do at the end of the game. This one you do because of these question mark ones. These are variable in terms of how much they're worth, so you want to keep track of, how much they're worth when you buy them and not have to guess and remember. Okay, so that's how the houses work. Now, how do the cards work? Okay, so on each card there's basically 2 parts. There's the top part and then there's the bottom part. The bottom part is just for points. Okay, and you can see that there's two different kinds of bottoms. There's kind of the sandy beach, and then there's the grassy knoll. Sure. And the grass has like symbols, like this is a pot, this is a little idol, so this represents religion, this represents art maybe, I can't remember. And then you have the sandy ones have little people, so this has little farmer guys, and this has little builder guys. Okay. Those are points for the end of the game. I'll explain those in a separate video. Then you have the stuff at the top, okay? And you collect that right away. So if I had him, okay, I buy this card, and I'm going to get what's on top right away. So I'm going to get 7 food straight up, okay? Now, what do I have to pay to get that 7 food? This many resources. So this card's worth 1, this card's worth 2, 3, and 4. You can see, though, it's any resource. So I can pay stone, gold, brick, or wood. Now I cannot spend food. Food, that's why food is considered a secondary resource. I have to have one of these 4. But it can be 3 wood, it can be 2 wood and a brick, it can be 3 gold. It doesn't matter as long as I spend 3. And the same thing as the houses, if I just want to save this spot until I have 3 resources, I can always just save the spot. I don't get anything, but I don't spend anything either. Okay, and then I'm going to put this under my mat to score for later, because I don't want my opponents knowing what kind of points I have collected at this point. And again, I'm going to leave this spot open so that the other players know how much their card is worth if other people have put their players on other cards. Okay, so that's all the allocation. So let's say everybody's done their rolling and they're collecting and they're buying and all this other stuff. Okay, the round ends. Now what? Well, first you take the bigwig and you pass it to the next person. Okay, so this person is going to this person's going to be last next round. This person's going to be first next round. Okay, so pass the bigwig. Now then, all the cards, we're going to shift them into the empty spaces. Okay, so that they're cheaper, and then replenish them. Now, if a pile cannot be replenished, then the game is over. Not one more round, the game is over. Okay, same thing with the buildings. Okay, anyone that's revealed, I flip up, and okay, that becomes the new available building. But if there is no buildings left in that pile, the game is over. Okay, and then we figure out all the points. And so that's another strategy, is you can buy up all the buildings, and then hopefully you've done it quick enough that nobody could catch up to you, and then you win. Okay. The final thing is you feed your people. Now, how much do you need to feed your people? Well, it depends upon two factors: your grain production and how many people you have. So you have to feed your people you have to feed one food for every person that you have. So if you have 6 people in your tribe, you need to spend 6 food. But you subtract the amount that is produced through the grains. Okay. So you can see here red is on the 1. Okay, so red has 5 people, minus 1, they only have to feed 4. Whereas whereas blue has 6 people, but no farm, so they have to spend 6 food. Okay. And then yellow pays 5 because they don't have a grain, but they also don't have an extra person. Now, so you spend your food, and everybody's happy. Okay, what if you don't have enough food? Well, you can always use resources as food. So let's say I spend all my food, there's nothing left, and I still have 1 person to feed. Okay, I can trade a resource for 1 food. Now there's no exchange rate. A gold gives you 1 food. A wood gives you 1 food. Okay, so if you really need foods, I've actually used gold for food, but you exchange this, and that counts as 1 food. Now, after you've allocated all of your food and all of your resources, and you still don't have enough, then you've starved. Okay, and what happens if you starve? Well, you have to move back 10 points. Okay. Now, if you go into the negative like this player did, then you want to probably indicate that you're negative, or just remember at least when it comes to the game end. So maybe you allocate their points first or something. But that's how the round ends. Everything's refreshed. Round 2 begins with yellow, this player, starting first.